And I go inside like a spider with 16 hands, and every hand has bags in it. She looks at me and she tells me, "Why did you grab all of them at once?" And I tell her I would rather break my hand than make 2 trips. So same thing here. We do it one shot. I want to do it right the first time. I do not want to go back and forth. It's been a while since I posted a Hiroshima on this channel. Today we received an Xbox One X. I have the board right here. The customer mailed over the console in 6 million pieces. But I have the board on the bench here, and let's read what the customer wrote. The screen flickers and sometimes disconnects. Bought an HDMI port to replace. I do not have the proper equipment to do the job. It's nice to know that the customer bought the HDMI connector to replace and that the customer does not have the proper equipment to do the job, and that's why he mailed this board over. But he did not mention anything about working on this board himself. He did not mention anything about a prior repair attempt, and that's what we have here, a Hiroshima. Anytime we have a unique Hiroshima, I like to show it on camera. Look at this. We have one big blob on 16 pins of that connector. Now, a flickering image, as the customer indicated, is usually caused by a faulty retimer chip. The chip that you see right here, the 158 chip, and not the connector itself. Unless you see physical damage onto that connector, then you would go and replace the connector. So in this video, we may have to replace both the chip and connector. Let's start, because if we do not start, we're not going to finish. We're going to apply genuine Amtech flux right here. Remove the connector completely, and we're going to check to see if we have any ripped pads under the connector. I cannot tell right now if we have ripped pads or not, but if we do, then what can you do? I'm looking at this connector and I do not see the blob anymore. What's going on? I'm looking at the wrong port, that's why. We need this one and not that one. I got fooled. I got fooled. I do not know if the same happened to you. But we have 2 connectors side by side. And looking at this one, I said, where did the blob go? I fixed it. Magic. Fume extractor on. And let's make this Hiroshima the Bahamas. And the soldering iron is off. What am I doing? Let's do it now. We do not care about this HDMI connector anymore, so for this one here, we're gonna apply hot air. Now, if that user mailed this board over to us for the flickering issue, we would have replaced that chip and the job is done. But maybe it looks too easy on YouTube. It's a combination of tools and experience. Because any job is easy if you know how to do it. I'm working on an Asus laptop, and it takes me 2 minutes to figure out that we have a short circuit on a capacitor. And then you have somebody tell you, oh, that was easy. Of course it's easy. If you know what you're doing, anything is easy. In business, you have to work smart, not hard. And experience helps. If you can figure out the problem in 2 minutes, awesome. We still get paid the same amount of money if we figure out the problem in 1 minute. So that's how experience pays. It pays not because you can charge more, but it pays because you can do the job faster. The connector is out, and it looks, based on the pins of the connector, we do not have any rip pads. But before we flip the board, Let's quick solder off the holes. The board is still hot. And we wake those holes in 30 seconds. Awesome. Let's flip the board. We have to thank the person who worked on it. We have to give him some credit because we do not have any red pads. So good job. Good job for not ripping any pads. That's a good start. And I always mention it. Practice is the mother of all skills. Work smart and not hard. Sometimes we have viewers ask, we never see you use an oscilloscope. I do have one. I do not use it. Maybe it's the least used piece of equipment that we have in the shop here. Why do you think you have to use an oscilloscope to be considered a good tech? I never ever use it. I bought it when I first opened the shop maybe 10 years ago. I used it a few times and it just sits on the bench and does nothing. I have it on my right side, right here. I have the oscilloscope sitting on the shelf for display. I do not use it unless I have to. And I also have the 3-channel Regal power supply, big and heavy power supply that I also do not use. I bought them about 9 years ago. I used to use this one a lot, but I do not use it now since I started to use the voltage injection tool, the NF.short power supply that we have here. I use this as a power supply and I use it as a voltage injection tool. It goes up to 20 volts. Why do I need this? Most of the stuff I want to test are 3 volts, 5 volts, 1 volt, 0.5 volts. I do not see a reason to use this one. So I have it on display also. I may use it in the future, but for now, I'm not using it. Now, if I care about accuracy, absolute accuracy, then I would go for the Regal. But I do not care about accuracy. I'm not working on circuits where if you are off by 0.1 volts, then you're gonna have issues. That's not the case. If you are working with signals or analyzing data lines, then an oscilloscope may come in handy, but it's the least used piece of equipment that we have in the shop here. I know that every technician want to have an oscilloscope on their bench, but you're not going to use it unless you have a specific use for it. But I can tell you from right now, you're not going to use it. And that's why the stuff that we carry and sell are the stuff that you would use every day, practically. I do not like to carry and sell stuff that you're just going to put on your bench and not use. Non-practical stuff. Now the next step is to pre-apply solder onto the pads. Fresh layer of genuine Amtech flux. And for those of you who do not know, we are a distributor of the flux. And everything that we use on the bench here, we carry and sell in our shop. Everything is in stock, and we almost always ship out your orders same day. Log into northridgefix.com, click on shop, add whatever you want to cart, check out, pay, and we ship your order. It's not rocket science. Everything that we use here, we already tested. So buy with your eyes closed. I always mention it for all new viewers. And I know for old viewers, you already got tired of hearing this every day, but bear with me. And we got enough solder on all the pads. Now I'm going to put the new connector in and solder that connector. Then what we're going to do is replace the retimer chip, and then we can give it to Big Boss to reassemble and test. I do not want to replace just the connector, have Big Boss reassemble it, and then he's going to tell me the screen is flickering, and then he's going to disassemble Waste of time. Just replace the connector, the retimer chip, and get it over with. And we're gonna make the connector face this way because we're gonna apply hot air like this. We're gonna reflow that connector down in place. And we're not gonna solder the pins one by one. Just reflow, and we're gonna have better than factory results. And we're done. Just keep holding for a few seconds. Your wife calls, do not answer. Your mother calls, do not answer. A robber comes in to rob your shop, just keep holding. And now you can let go. Call your wife, call your mother, whoever. Follow the robber, but at least you have a solid connection on this HDMI port. You do not want to do it again, just one time. Just like when my wife has groceries in the car. She buys everything, she comes home and she asks me to go and grab the bags. I go outside to the car. She has 2 watermelons, red ones, 2 small ones, apples, oranges, lettuce, tomatoes, whatever, 6,000 bags. I grab all of them one shot. Every finger has 2 or 3 bags. And I go inside like a spider with 16 hands and every hand has bags in it. She looks at me and she tells me, why did you grab all of them at once? And I tell her I would rather break my hand than make 2 trips. So same thing here. We do it one shot. I want to do it right the first time. I do not want to go back and forth. One shot, one time. So let's check and see if we have any loose pins. If we do, then I failed. Solid, solid, solid. And we have a solid connection all the way from front to back. Solid. You're not gonna find a single pin that's not solid unless this connector wanna play games. And I do not believe this connector wanna play games with me. Solid. Look at the soldering on this connector and tell me it's not better than factory. Flip the board. And we're gonna apply solder on the back here. Now the back legs, we cannot do them one shot because of the thermal mass. We have to go over them one more time to ensure that solder made its way all the way to front of the board. And we have 2 more. We're gonna apply flux. Awesome. Now what I like to do is brush over those blobs with my soldering iron. And when I say brush over, I mean like this. Just get rid of excess solder that way. Somebody came into the shop and actually somebody exited. My dad just made a cup of espresso and went outside to take a few minutes off. He's been working on your orders all day long. And that's why I always mention same day shipping, same day shipping, same day shipping. And we certainly, most definitely, did a better than factory job. All right, let's flip the board. And look at how solder made its way all the way to the front. And we have a super solid connection everywhere. Let's just go over the pins one more time before we replace the chip and hand this over to Big Boss. Awesome. We did an amazing job. All we have to do is replace the chip. Like I said, do it one time and now go back and forth. The chip is out. We're gonna apply MTech flux. And we just need a tiny bit right there. That's enough. We're gonna grab a retimer chip. You can also purchase those chips off our site. We have them in stock. And let's put one right here. And now we're gonna apply heat. Let me rotate the board because I want to point heat away from the HDMI connector and not to the HDMI connector. All right, we got it in place. Now we can go over this one more time with hot air and finalize the process. Tap, and the chip pulls back. And now we're gonna press and hold on the chip so we can squeeze out excess solder. Make sure all the pins are making a good connection with the pads. And just like that. Perfect. We're done. We hit two birds with one stone. Replace the HDMI connector, the retimer chip, and now we're gonna hand this over to Big Boss to reassemble and test. And hopefully the console works, because we do not know if the console has any other issues. But based on what the customer wrote about the flickering issue, we replaced the connector and the retimer chip. Just cleaning up the board. Make sure the back is clean also. We already cleaned the back, but one final touch up. Awesome. So that's the connector right here. And the chip is right next to it on the bottom. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so the Xbox is assembled and we're gonna try it. So turn it on. And it's spinning. And it looks like we're gonna get something on the screen. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Very nice. We should not have any flickering issues. We have an image. And Big Boss is the man. Boss of all bosses. Thank you, Big Boss. We're done. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll do something else in the next video.